Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Education meeting. The first item on the agenda for tonight is recognition of Highview School student authors. Dr. Chase?
Good evening. So thank you so much, Mr. Warner, and thank you to the Board of Education for modifying our typical meeting time so that we can acknowledge these 9 beautiful authors and illustrators. Not only are they from Highview Elementary School, we also have students representing R.J. Bailey as well, and we're so proud of them. I'll give you a little bit of history as to why we're here. So Tanya Johnson, who happens to be the Executive Director of the Lois Braun Center, whatever. Whenever Tanya calls me and asks me to do something before she finishes the statement, the answer is always yes. She is definitely a partner to the Greenburgh Central School District, and it's always an honor to not only be in her presence, but to also partner with her. So she asked me to speak at an author's signing event through the Lois Braun Center at the Theodore Young Center a couple of Fridays ago. I had no idea what I was walking into. I had my secretary call her and ask, what do you want me to do? And she says, oh, you're going to be the keynote speaker. We have young authors. Well, to my surprise, to my delight, to my pleasure, those young authors are Greenburgh Central School District students. These students not only authored their own books, they illustrated and they worked with the fabulous Jazz Johnson as well in creating their own stories, their own creative stories. And so in listening to the thought behind why these students wrote what they wrote in their anthology, which is a collection of short stories, listening to them, but reading the stories and reading how the students use their vivid imagination to create these heroes, and they talked about real life experiences. Each story had a theme, it had characters, there was a conflict, and then there was a resolution, and then it talked about how the issues were resolved, and there was an ending. One story even ended with "to be continued." I mean, these kids brilliantly wrote their own stories, and I was so amazed to find out that their anthology will be available at the Greenburgh Public Library, Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, our children. On top of that, just as important, each school library at the Greenburgh Central School District will also have copies of our students' work, even the high school. So, and I said that because they're not high school students. But it's just an honor to have, you know, our children showcased this way, and so I could not help but to invite them to a board meeting. And Mr. Warner, I thank you. When I mentioned it to you, you immediately say yes, without any question, because this is what we do. We showcase our students not just for athletics and for performance, but also for the academics. And here's an opportunity to highlight our academics. What was awesome about the Authors Night was that each student, each author, signed their own books, and they had their own authors table where you can get to meet the author individually and have conversations and take pictures with them and to get their autograph. And so I want them tonight to introduce themselves to our community. I want everyone to see your beautiful, bold, brilliant selves. So I'm going to ask if you can just come to the podium. I'll join you. Mr. Warner and I will join you. You come to the podium, introduce yourselves, tell us your grade, and tell us the name of your story. And then you're going to help me present a surprise to the school board. All right? So come on up and meet us at the podium. There were 9. I think one is sick. Yes. Jathan, right? Mm-hmm. Jathan is sick. Okay. Do you want to come here? Okay. Yep, let them read it, whatever. Mm-hmm. Your name and your grade and the name of your story.
Okay. My name is Nia. I'm in the 6th grade, and the name of my story is My Brother's a Villain.
All right. Yes, Nia.
My name is Nayla. I'm in the 7th grade, and the title of my story is Starting a New Beginning.
So we do have a secondary student, sorry.
My name is Anne, and I'm in 4th grade. The title of my story is Me and the Weather World.
You got this.
My name's Kailani, and I am in 4th grade, and my story is titled Me in the Weather World.
My name is Anila Rai, and I'm in the 4th grade. My title is My Brother's a Villain.
My brother's a villain. So just ask them the meaning behind some of those stories. So they personified weather. They did all sorts of wonderful things in using literary art. We're just so proud of the students, and some of them created their own pictures. So if the students would just join me quickly, and then we'll have Tanya come to the front. Don't kill me. Each board member will receive tonight an autographed copy of your own Journey of Heroes. And each student, underneath their picture and a little biography about the students, you will see their own original signature. So this is for each of the board members. So if you will, I have about 7 of them. And so if each of you would just walk over to meet our school board and give them each a book. Actually, here you go. There's 2. Wait, well, one is not here today, so not here yet.
Hi, can I shake your hand? Nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. Congratulations. It's a pleasure to meet you. Hi, nice to meet you. Pleasure to meet you.
Well, he's not here yet. When he does come, you can. Fair? All right, cool. Thank you. So our school board will have a wonderful reading activity tonight before they go to bed. They will read the anthology and share, and they have an autographed copy. And so really quickly, I'd like to hear, if the students can just stand here in front of the school board, we're gonna ask the school board members to come out because we always like to take pictures of our shining stars. And so if it's okay with you, do you mind if we take a picture with you superstars? Is that okay? Nobody answered. Is that okay? Okay. And the board will hold up their books as they take a picture for the parents and for our social media. And I'm going to ask Tanya if she would just join in on this picture. And Jazz, where's Jazz? I need for Jazz, because Jazz is a former Lois Bronze participant who helped our students, find their voice through writing, and she did such a phenomenal job at helping our students to create their own stories. So I would love for Jazz to join us as well. Come on, Tanya. I'll say 2 words.
I would like to thank Dr. Chase and the board for inviting us this evening. The children were very, very excited about the book signings that they were getting from our original book signing. They did a phenomenal job. Lois Bronze Children's Center, our former student, Ms. Jasmine Johnson, and our students that we have now, they are all very, very creative. And from this experience, others in the center, in the school-age program, would like to write as well. And as you said, some of them put on there to be continued. We expect them to continue it and maybe even do a book of their own or even co-authored with their co-partner. So it's really been a great experience to have everybody come back. They're excited about it being on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, CreateSpace, and in the school libraries, in the Greenburgh Public Library. From what I understand, the looks on their faces when they heard that their book was going to be in the library, the Greenburgh Public Library, they were ecstatic. So congratulations to you guys. Jasmine as well, her books are going to be on the shelf, so keep writing and keep it going, okay? Thank you.
Creativity is one of the best things that you can learn to pursue in life because it will serve you throughout your entire life. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
So if there's anyone else who would like to purchase a book, of course the board gets a free book, but anyone else who would like to purchase a book, they're here for, I believe the books are $10, and they're $10 on Amazon, they're $10 at Barnes & Noble as well. Please, continue to support our young writers. Writing is such a lost art today. We live in a society where many people do not write any longer, nor do we use our creativity. We use technology sometimes to think for us. So I always think it's amazing that we can bring that out of children and get them excited about writing and excited about sharing their illustrations and their creativity. Jazz, I want you to stand up for a second because you are a phenomenal young lady who brought this out of the students, and we just want to thank you and applaud you for your work, and thank you so much. We also want to thank Miss Julie. Miss Julie, please stand up and so we know who you are. Julie, thank you for all that you've done for our students. If there are no further questions, this concludes this portion of the presentation.
Board will go into executive session to discuss employment history of particular persons being considered for board action this evening. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? We are in executive session. See you in an hour. Will you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's cold in here.
The next item on our agenda is statements from the public. I'm sorry, did you want to go ahead? Okay.
He's not feeling good.
Our first speaker is Anna Coppola, I'm going to butcher this, Coppola Chera. After the district-wide emergency plan announcement. Also this here. Go ahead.
Good evening. I had some concerns about the Highview departmentalization of the third grade. I'd had many conversations with many of you this past week, getting different answers from each of you. So I really felt that I needed to speak tonight because part of departmentalization and doing it is part of the planning that is involved in it. So my concerns are that it wasn't planned and executed or rolled out properly. And it is something that could benefit the school. It is absolutely, I'm not saying it's completely needs to be bagged or put away, but when something is dropped on a parent 4 days before it's going to be rolled out in a classroom, my child comes home telling me about it before I've had an opportunity to read a letter, know what's going on, be aware, have answers. It's the third week in October, and September is when school started, so if this was something that was wanting to happen, we had June, July, August to be made aware of it. You had September to roll it out properly and in an educationally sound way. I haven't heard from any of the teachers. It's not necessarily something I would hear from the teachers, but I would be interested to know how on board they are for this. They are your team members, they are your community, they're our community raising our children. And if they're not on board, regardless of whether they're following directions or not, if they're not on board in a positive way, that will affect the classroom and that will affect the children's learning. I am a teacher. I'm an educator. I have been teaching for 15 years. I am a seasoned teacher. If this was dropped on me, I would be very upset. My question is, how long has this planning been happening? And to whom was it all being discussed? Like, who was part of this team that came up with this? If anybody can answer that.
Dr. Chase? Third grade.
Good evening. Good evening. The decision to departmentalize came from our in-depth analysis of the data at Highview Elementary School. And we recognized that there were some things that needed to be changed. As you know, being that you stated that you are a teacher, unfortunately, we don't get our data back until late in the summer, and we didn't receive it until late in the summer, thus giving us a small window to plan. But in planning, all of the teachers in the third grade were involved, the administrators as well as central office staff. There were several meetings that took place. The first meeting took place at Highview, and then there were several meetings that took place afterwards in devising what the schedule could possibly look like. In addition, there was connection made with the next school, which is R.J. Bailey Elementary School, where this is also working, to ensure that the scheduling is sound. We took into consideration, as we were developing the plan, the students. We understand that students are quite resilient. Mr. Mastrangelo took upon himself to, and I think he did a pretty good job, and I want to commend him for that. I think he's here now, to talk to the children about this movement, to get feedback from them. And sometimes when you're talking about a school community, and you being an educator know, oftentimes we don't always get the voices of the children. So your child probably came home because Mr. Mastrangelo thought that it was sound to hear from the children before making this commitment solid. Heard from the children. I don't think that there were any major concerns from the children, obviously. It's something new and something different. Our purpose in doing this was to create expertise in a particular subject area at the third grade level. We wanted teachers to be experts at math, wanted teachers to be experts at English, social studies, and science. Any teacher who teaches elementary school, and like you're a seasoned educator, I'm a 24-year educator as well. Any teacher who teaches elementary school teaches all 4 core subject areas, not really giving everyone an opportunity to be an expert in a particular area. We believe that having expertise at a particular area will increase student learning and will also make learning a lot more enjoyable for our children. And so, unfortunately, when the state made a promise to us to return our data early, that promise did not happen. We received it when we received it later in August. When we met with our administrators in August, which was late August, right before school started, we knew that there were some things that we needed to do differently because we believed that we could improve what we currently have at Highview School. So those meetings took place, and we felt that this plan, this change, took place in, I would say, early October. Still early in the school year. It's not like it took place in December. It's not like it took place in January, but early October, giving kids enough opportunity to get into Highview. It's third grade. Most of them been there for second grade, but it's still early enough in the school year to make the change and make the change, positive change for kids. I haven't heard anything negative coming from Highview in terms of the changes or kids feeling traumatized or anything to that effect. In fact, it seems that I spoke to one teacher who actually teaches social studies who shared with me how he enjoys getting into the content because when he was teaching it as a core teacher, he could not delve into the content. So we can speak more about that, and I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I just wanted to give you the background and so that you know that this was not a haphazard decision and that's something that we threw up in the air and say, hey, let's see what happens. We're talking about the lives of children. We wanted to make sure that we gave children an opportunity to dive into the content, preparing them for this departmentalization once they get it to Bailey Elementary School as well.
Okay, unfortunately, that's certainly not the way it feels coming from my end. I'm going to be honest.
Sure.
Kindergarten to first grade, my child was told he's looping. 2 weeks before school starts, I find out, no more looping. We've decided against it. We're changing. Fine. He had a successful year. It was fine. I really let it go. Then we get into Highview, and we had other issues. Then now from second to third grade, we're getting another change. And I just feel like at every road this child has had a transition, another change has happened. Whether it's good, bad, indifferent, but it's change. Instead of, and this I do not feel has been really looked at 100%. I also would, find it interesting, how did these teachers get chosen to pick whatever subjects? Did they get to choose? Was their input put into it? Or were they just told, you know what, your test scores are really great in math, so you get to teach math. Well, you know what if I hated math? And now I get stuck teaching it 5 times a day, every single day. So what if I'm good at it? I'm great at science, and that's what I teach really well in our school. But I don't do it every day because I would get really bored of it. And it would make it not as exciting for me anymore. So has that been taken into consideration for these teachers who went into grammar school teaching, saying, I get to teach everything.
Yeah.
I get to connect it all.
Yeah, so I'm really happy you said that. One of the concerns that we do have, and when kids get into Bailey Elementary School and they get into secondary elementary school, not having deep knowledge of content becomes a problem. So when you said that a person who might teach it every day might get bored, children should be exposed to all 4 subjects every single day, and that's what we're doing at Highview. I want to give these kids a robust experience. I apologize that it came across a haphazard way, but our intention was to give kids a robust experience in all 4 core subject areas with an emphasis on STEAM and students still being exposed to Mandarin Chinese so that they can have a true core experience throughout the day. And no, we did not say to a teacher, you teach this and you teach that. We looked at expertise. There was a teacher who says, I love social studies because I have to teach everything. I don't get to dive into social studies the way I want to. That's why you're going to be the social studies teacher. A teacher who is strong in science and may not be as strong in ELA was selected to teach science. We're talking about children, so it was carefully thought out as to who's going to teach what.
I just have a hard time believing that something can be researched, followed through, planned, and executed in 3 weeks. I do. I really have a hard time with that. Okay. Also, my other concern is IEPs and your Ls. You have teachers that went from 25 kids knowing them one-on-one very well, knowing what might trigger a certain behavior, what have you, or what soothes certain children. Now you have one teacher on 75 students during a day. How do they learn their IEP? Who's giving them this time to sit down and learn files?
Just so
Your
that you
time
know.
has expired to answer
Sure.
that last
That's okay.
question.
Yes, so that you know, I am obligated by the federal government to adhere to every child's IEP. It is a
Absolutely.
mandate. I'm going to finish, please. It's a mandate. We would never, ever, ever not follow a child's mandated IEP. So that's still being followed. And any child who has accommodations or any child who has maybe a one-to-one, that person still follows the children. That has not changed at all. What I'm going to ask is that you give this an opportunity to work. We just put it in place a couple of weeks ago. Give it an opportunity to work. You called my office the other day, and I put you in charge and put you in contact with Dr. Valente. Call me back in January, and let's talk about how well your child is progressing, or then let's talk about maybe some issues that you might see so that we can make it better for the next year's implementation. But let's give this some time to work, and then let's have a conversation around January, February, and then we can take it from there, being that your time is up.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker looks like Joanne Stenstrom.
I'm another concerned parent from Highview regarding the departmentalization. I'm a member of SEPTA, Special Education Parent-Teacher Association. I'm concerned about how the departmentalization will affect my child with special needs, and based on the response I was given by an administrator that was at the last SEPTA meeting, there was no true response about how this change will affect my child and the guidelines based on his IEP. I was just assured that the special education instructor would be following the children to each core class. My child requires continuous following of procedures, which will eventually form routines that will help him and other students meet expectations stated in the IEP. To add transition between multiple settings with a child that already has ADHD throughout the day is disruptive to the learning process of youngsters. Students need a couple of weeks to get used to transitioning, settling down to work. We are already in the second month of school, and now the change is being made. Some students have difficulty to varying teaching styles, and they need the comfort of having the same teacher consistently. Others experience anxiety with constant movement. My son is in the process of developing his executive function. He needs routine and organization. In my opinion, my son would benefit more from a structured environment with consistency and continuity. And one of the things about the IEP, my son, he was in one of the other schools, and not until November did they tell me that there was no goals in his IEP. And for myself, it was also my fault because I did not check, but what were you doing this whole time? There was no goals for speech, there was no goals for OT, and no goals for PT. So I have no idea what was going on until November. And it was also my fault. So now as a parent, I highlight, underline, and speak to every single teacher and make sure that they're following it. But what's going to happen now that all of these teachers are supposed to know his IEP and follow them? That's it. I'm done.
Question?
So your question is?
You know, Mom, you're talking about a documentation, and you're talking about a child's particular IEP. Okay. I'm going to tell you something. As a mother, forget I'm a superintendent, I am not going to engage in dialogue about your child's. If you don't mind, if you can give me a call, let's talk, or let's handle this a little bit differently, because I want to respect your privacy.
Okay.
All right? And I want to hear your concerns, and I want to be able to allay your concerns. But know that when we made this decision, we definitely considered all of our learners, whether you are ENL, whether you are a child who has an IEP or 504 plan. But for your particular issues that you brought up to the board, I'm more comfortable having a private, separate conversation with you. So can you please, I'm in the office tomorrow morning, if you can please, my secretary's name is Helene, and just let Helene know you're the parent who spoke the night before. I want to talk to you.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Katie McGee.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm also a third grade mom, a mom of a third grader. And I just had I came for, with questions. Like others have said, we got the notice. There's only so much you can put in a notice. There wasn't a meeting yet about it. I can't make Mr. M's coffees, so I came tonight. And some of my questions were answered. But first one, I was curious, was there a model program or research-based evidence that you used to make the decision? Has it been shown to raise test scores? What else has it been shown to do? That kind of thing. Also, how often will each team meet for cross-disciplinary discussions? Or will they, and how does, is it the PLC that you usually do? How does that work now? Is there any different or extra training for the teachers? Any compensation for the lack of, now maybe how do you keep up continuity or integration of topics? Whereas like an all-day class, the teacher could say, oh, remember what Susie said this morning. I don't know the terms for it, but I know that's in education, to keep up the topics or the standards in different subjects, that kind of thing. I know you know what I'm talking about, but okay.
IB.
So those are, right. So I just wanted, and what Joanne was saying, the point about special ed and the IEPs, I just want to reiterate that it just seemed like if you're a teacher now, you have 75 kids or 60 kids, IEPs to look at and know and get to know how are you going to do that. And I think that's another question mark about the departmentalization just in general. How do you get to know the students so well, which is important at their age? And how do you make those connections and be connected to them as much? Basically, how do the pros outweigh the cons? And I was just very curious about any research that you used to come to the decision.
Okay. So I tried to jot down as much as I could. That's okay. No, it's perfectly fine. Is there a model program? Actually, the model program is at R.J. Bailey Elementary School, the next school up where most of our children, well, hopefully all of our children will be going eventually. About 2 years ago, we started the departmentalization. Last year, we went full departmentalization, beginning with fourth grade. We actually replicated the model because we found that the model proved to be extremely favorable to our children. We are, again, focused on teaching deep content. Content knowledge is so very important, and not just necessarily teach the kids surface level. And I believe that the high school, middle school will reap the benefits of children coming in with more in-depth knowledge. Is it about test scores, or is it about really just teaching content? Well, at the end of the day, I can sit here and say it's not really about test scores, but it's how we're judged. And so we believe that if we teach better, if we teach differently, we believe that if we teach in a different way, it might yield different results. So at the end of the day, it's not just about the results, but it's also about improving our craft and having better outcomes for children, be it test scores, be it student performance, be it that kids now have a different exposure that they ordinarily would not get with a teacher who teaches all 4 contents. You asked about cross-disciplinary, and you do know some educational content, so you have some good words there. But we're actually going to continue with the PLC. That has not changed. So there will be a 3rd grade PLC at Highview Elementary School, allowing those teachers an opportunity to talk about those kids that they share, what works well for student A and what works well for student B. And it also allows those teachers an opportunity to talk about those IEP goals to ensure that those goals are met throughout all of the discipline subject areas. In terms of extra training, so we've already started that. So some of the teachers are participating in curriculum writing in their particular subject area. So we have a social studies group, we have a math group, we have a science group. In fact, I'm actually taking one of your social studies teachers to Chicago in a couple of weeks, where that teacher will be working on a social studies program that's going to be a national program. So we're talking about building expertise, and we're also talking about training. And some of those teachers are going to BOCES for training. I signed off on a whole bunch of PD permissions for teachers to go for training in particular content areas. You talked about making connections. Well, I think it's kind of natural for elementary teachers to make connections with kids. And typically, even if you are a student who's in another teacher's class, we get to know the children. This allows teachers to get to know all the children across the grade, because we're all in this together. One of the things that the PLC model teaches us is that there are no more silos, that we own all of this together. This allows teachers to know all of the children, to be able to have informative conversations about the kids, because we all experience the kids differently, whether it's in math, whether it's in social studies, whether it's in science. I can speak all night, but I'm not going to. What I am going to ask is, Mr. Mastrangelo, can you please have an information night for those parents who have concerns, who have questions, and some of the questions may not necessarily be appropriate for this forum, and if we can do that sooner than later, and if you can put that on my calendar, I will ensure that both Dr. Valente and I are there to work with the parents, answer any of your questions, and have more robust discussions, and then you can ask particular questions about your children, because I just don't want to put kids out there, especially our young kids out there, in a forum like this. So if we can do that sooner than later, I would appreciate that. So if we can just look forward to that information night for parents, just to help you all transition with this new model, and then answer your questions. And then I want to definitely follow up with Mom back here, January, February, as to how we're doing so far. I want to stay true to that. So can you set that up ASAP? Okay, and we'll put it out there. All right?
Okay, great. I would also appreciate if you had at that meeting, some specifics about the outcomes at Bailey.
Sure.
What had
Sure,
happened
absolutely.
that changed
Yep.
for the positive?
Sure, and I do for grade 6. Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay,
Mhm.
thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mary Spells.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Again, I want to welcome Ms. Mears and Ms. Glazer as our trustees, new trustees on the board again, and let you know it's such a pleasure to watch you, all of you, on Channel 33, which I watch all the time, and see the interaction that you have among yourselves. See that you're working so hard for the benefit of our children, so we're grateful for that. I'm just here tonight to just recapture some of the good things that I see that is happening in our district. And I just want to let you know that all of these things are brought alive on our channels by Mr. Steve Lewis and his team. And we want to applaud you for that, Mrs. Lewis, because many of our seniors cannot get out. And we listen to what is going on from our school district through you and your eyes, through the media. So we thank you for that. The graduation was wonderful. I listened to all those speakers, our valedictorian, Ms. Holness, Dr. Chase, Mr. Smith, Mr. Paul Feiner, and of course our dynamic alumni speaker, Mr. Jared Green. It was so uplifting, and so when I'm down a little bit, Mr. Lewis, please put that graduation on again, because it makes me feel good about our district to see what is happening. Whomever made the decision to have the graduation on our grounds again in a tent was a great idea. The speakers were wonderful. Mr. Warner, don't let me forget you. You had a wonderful message as well. We've talked about it since then. So thank you so much. And Dr. Chase, I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to watch you on the television as well at your convocation, to your charge to your principals and to your teachers, and your charge to the parents, that we all work together in unity to make a difference in our children's lives. It was very motivational for me, and we really are here to support everything that we do here. And to see you, Dr. Chase, on that same next day, I think, going to the schools, speaking to teachers. People don't realize how important it is for a superintendent to be able to go and visit the schools and talk to the students as well as the staff before school starts, before it begins, to let them know that you encourage them and you're supportive. That really touched my heart. I'm very grateful to you for doing that, and I'm sure it made a difference in the lives of the staff and the teachers that you and the students that you spoke to them on that day. Thank you so much. The day that the fathers had an opportunity to take the kids to school, I just watched it again last night. All I do is watch TV on Greenburgh School District, because you know what? I'm able to share the good news in the community with all of my friends and with all of the people around in the different places that I attend, because sometimes people outside don't always know what's going on. We have to be the mouthpiece. And again, that morning where the fathers, so many fathers, came here to be with their children and then have a meeting with Dr. Chase and Dr. Valenti, it was very, very, it was worthwhile. And to hear some fathers share some of the concerns they have about their own kids, well, we can get together and talk that you are not alone. No one is alone with what is happening to our kids today. So it gives us an opportunity to share our experience with them. And now for the middle school and the high school, Mrs. Smith, thank you so much for allowing parents to come in and visit. Of course, my granddaughter say it's annoying to see me and my husband here so often, but that's okay, Jalen. We will be annoying to you, but we hope we're not annoying to the staff and to the administration here, that we come to support not only you, Jalen, but we come to support all the children. So I hope you are listening tonight to let you know that when you see us here, it's not only for you, it's for all the students here in our school district that are going to school here at
Thank you,
Woodlands and middle and high school. And I want to say to the teachers, to the staff, to the monitors, to the secretaries, to the cafeteria staff, to everyone in this building, you make us feel so welcome. We want to thank you for what you're doing for our children. We have a good start here at our school. You can ask any student, do you like Woodlands
Miss
Middle High?
Spells.
Yes. I like it too. So thank you so much. But one little message to parents, there's an after-school help session, after-school homework help session for your students. Please make sure your children attend. It will make a difference. Thank you. Let's have a wonderful school year, and parents, you are invited. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Spells.
You're so welcome.
Our next speaker is Rita Jones.
I have some questions, but before I ask the questions, at the last meeting, I should have thanked Tracy Mayers as president of the PTA Council and the other PTA departments of the different schools, because they gave the Woodlands High School Scholarship Fund almost $3,000, which we are very happy for. Also, I guess Dr. Chase was part of that as Greenburgh Central 7. But I know, Tracy, I think it was your idea to go to the Mets game. So thank you both for the donation. By the way, departmentalization of subjects has been in Greenburgh for years. They may have stopped it before you got here, Dr. Chase, but it was there. When my children came through Bailey, they had science teachers, they had English teachers, they moved around. So it may have stopped, it was stopped before you got here, but it was here years ago. I'd like to ask the question, the monies that we voted on, I think it's on 2015 budget, for fixing the buildings, what are we doing with it? Because I can tell you the gym needs a lot of repairs over there. And I was there today, and I think we need to do something, because when we have visitors, we had games, several games there. I mean, it looks a mess. First of all, there's debris all over outside of the building. And I will call Mike tomorrow, but I shouldn't have to call anyone. I think people should drive around. Before we have games, somebody should be out there cleaning up the place. It just looks nasty. And you can drive there now. I'm sure you'll see it. You just go around there and you'll see it. And I've been talking about this every year, and nothing happens. What I'd like you to answer some questions, maybe you can clarify this for me. Page 13. I don't know if you have the same page. It's business. Business. I'm not clear what's happening here. Maybe someone can give me a short version of what this means.
Give us the letter and the number.
I. And it has two different things there about. The last thing is about provide transportation, consulting services to the business office. What's that all about? And then the next paragraph says, first of all, that says for 45 days. Then the bottom of it says 54 days. So I'm just trying to figure out what kind of service you're giving to the business office and why the 45 days is not enough.
We're having trouble finding I.
Okay, it says business. Amendment, yellow consulting and training, number 1. Yellow consulting and training.
Okay.
Well, I think they have a different.
We have administrative content, so we have to go by the index.
Okay, is it I, business? You don't have that?
Right. I, business. Amendment 1, yellow consulting and training.
Yeah, yellow consulting and training.
Okay. So why don't we start with the budget for fixing the buildings, and I think Mary is probably the best person to answer that.
Good evening. I believe we've mentioned at a prior meeting, we did receive approval for 2 of our projects from State Ed for the repair reserve for the high school and for Highview School, so you'll begin to see work done in both of those buildings in the upcoming weeks. We are working with the architect on finalizing what we need to do to move forward, but again, you should see changes made in the gym at the high school as well as the gym at Highview. So that will happen relatively soon. We still have a few projects pending with SED, waiting for approval from them before we can move forward. That would include projects at Bailey, at LF Jackson, and at the Mansion. And once we receive approval from State Ed, we will definitely move forward.
When you say you're waiting for the architect, you have a facilities committee, right? Don't they make recommendations?
The repair reserve projects that we're speaking about were approved prior.
Yes.
They were already approved, so that's what we're moving forward with.
Okay.
And then Yellow Consulting and Training, isn't that about transportation routing?
Well, it doesn't say that here.
No, it doesn't say that, but that's exactly, hi, Ms. Jones.
Yeah, but can you tell me what it means? I mean,
I'm about to. It is. We have a consultant to support our transportation services and also to help us with some of the training that is necessary for our bus drivers and our monitors. And we see that there is a need to continue the services of this particular consultant firm. And so we are just extending the time of working with this consulting firm in our transportation department. So while I have the microphone, I do want to, I wanted to address something that you said in reference to the appearance of the high school. What I find last year, when we were planning the graduation, and thank you, Ms. Spells, for bringing that up, there were kids who did not want graduation on the campus because they actually felt the campus was ugly. There were kids who said, campus is ugly, our school district is ugly. That was heartbreaking when kids say that our place is ugly. There's nothing ugly and there's nothing dirty about our school district. In fact, when we had the solar eclipse party here in our school district, I don't mean to call it a party, a viewing event, we had people from Edgemont, we had people from Scarsdale, Mamaroneck, the Bronx, from Rockland County, from Yonkers, we had people from all over. And every person I spoke to said, your campus is magnificent. This place is beautiful. Do you rent it out? Can I have a wedding here? This place is gorgeous. The graduation site was probably one of the best venues in Westchester County to have a graduation. I don't ever want any child in this district to believe that there is something wrong with their school. There is nothing wrong with their school. Our schools are not ugly. Our schools are not dirty. We don't have horrible teachers. Our place is not a horrible place to learn and a horrible place to work. I don't want children to watch this tonight with the belief that there is something wrong with their second home. There is everything right about this place. And the more we promote this place in a positive way, the more that our children will review and respect this district in the manner by which it should be respected. School's not dirty. Our custodians do a heck of a job.
Dr. Chase, drive over to the building now, and you'll see the debris outside. Nobody said the school was dirty.
If there's debris, Ms. Jones, and I don't want to go back and forth with you, I just want to respond. I want to respond to a comment that you made, because I don't want your comment to be misinterpreted.
No, I didn't say the school was dirty. I never said the school was dirty. I said the grounds were dirty. There was debris out there, and you can drive there and see it now.
Ms. Jones, I didn't quote you. What I said.
Well, you seem to be.
Ms. Jones, I got it. Ms. Jones, I'm not quoting you. Basically, what I am doing is making sure that there are no misinterpretations about the place that I work and the place where I love and the place where 1,800 kids call their second home. And so I was clarifying for the listening audience so that there are no misinterpretations. My intention was not to quote you.
Go ahead. Jones.
Listen, I've been an advocate for this school long before you came here, all right? The other part that I need clarification on, and I think Mary just stepped out, it's on the business, and it's the last paragraph that says, "Be it resolved." You're having Sylvan tutoring 30 students, and I'm just trying to figure out who are these students and why are they being tutored? Are they specific students that are chosen or for a certain reason? And it's under business again. I think it's the 1, 2, 3, it's the third paragraph.
We have hired Sylvan Learning to lead our Saturday Academy. If you remember last year, we had a Saturday Academy for children at the elementary and the middle school level. Unfortunately, this year, we could not hire teachers because there wasn't really a lot of interest. So we decided to hire a tried and true agency to work with our children to provide tutoring and additional academic enrichment to those children who are in need. And we've identified 30 children who actually meet the profile to support their learning.
Okay, they're chosen by their teachers.
They are chosen by their teachers and their administrators.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
You're welcome.
Next item on the agenda is the district-wide emergency plan presentation. There are copies of the emergency plan on the back table. Pursuant to the Commissioner's regulations, the draft district-wide emergency plan is available for public comment. Copies of the plan are available tonight and in the Student Services Department. It is also available on our website. All comments concerning the plan should be submitted in writing to the Board of Education. The board will hold a public hearing concerning the plan at its November 21st, 2017 meeting. So take a look at the plan. The next item on our agenda is the Early Childhood Program presentation. Yes. Don Mail.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Chase, community, colleagues. Okay, we're going to present tonight, but what we're going to do is, I'm going to quickly just mention that we're going to piggyback on last year, because last year, my teachers and teaching assistants were working together, training together with Wilson's Foundations for the first time ever. We're going to, how do I click this thing? How do I click it? Where's laser? Which one? That one? Okay. Okay. Tonight we're going to present to you the results of us as a professional learning community family at the Early Childhood Program, how we are going to continue strengthening early literacy in young children through using the UDL, Universal Design for Learning, and our professional learning community, our PLC, in combination with Wilson Pre-K Foundations. We're going to also talk about this evening having a parent workshop this year. We talked about it last year. We couldn't do a parent workshop until we knew what we were doing ourselves. So we did a parent workshop this year, and I'm so honored to say the Early Childhood Program, Lee F. Jackson, as well as Highview. At Lee F. Jackson, we put together 3 schools for a parent workshop on foundations.
So we're continuing the focus on teaching through the Wilson Pre-K Foundation, using the UDL and PLC framework. And at this moment, we usually meet 4 times. Our PLC meeting, we meet 4 times a month, and we discuss the 4 essential questions, which are stated right there. with the students, and we also meet as a team, and we go through these questions too to see how we can engage all the children and have them exposed to different opportunities in learning, and we provide them with hands-on activities and visuals throughout our lessons.
This is last year when my teachers and teaching assistants were working together with Wilson Foundations. Here, the teachers working with the children practices letter formation. We were flying the plane last year. Remember that one, Dr. Chase? We were flying the plane while we were building it. It is very interesting because we wanted to make sure, in working with our colleagues at Lee F. Jackson, that we were on point doing what we need to do to prepare the children. But we also needed to bring our parents on board. The children started going home talking about the plane line, Little Echo. See, at the early childhood program, our little mascot with literacy is Little Baby Echo. At Lee F. Jackson, it's Mama Echo. So parents kept hearing these things when they go home. They heard plane line, sky line, grass line. And the children were talking about how they were skywriting and the whole 9 yards, and A, apple, B, bat, buh. And the parents was like, what is this that my child's coming home saying? Well, we had an awesome time working with our parents on Wilson Foundations, having the parents to stand up and do letter formation, having the parents to stand up and speak about sounding out the letter, A, apple, and then introducing them to Echo and Mama Echo. So with that being said, it was interesting because Patricia and I spoke, Patricia Simone, the principal at the Lee F. Jackson School, and she called me and she says, one of my teachers have something to say. It was a reading specialist, and they was like, oh my goodness, the children are coming over here knowing the vocabulary, knowing Echo, knowing what the expectations are with foundations. And that was the whole reason why Dr. Chase, as our district leader, and through discussions with our district literacy committee and all, to bring in Wilson Foundations once it came out at the pre-K level, and the teachers honored it. This is what was said. This is what they shared with us. Students are familiar with Echo, Baby Owl, and its purpose. Students demonstrate confidence during lessons and are models for other children. The students have basic skills to make learning the letter, keyword, and sound easier. Students are familiar with writing using the skyline, the plane line, the grass line, the worm line, which make letter formation easier to understand. And this is what they had to say about ECP. So I just want you to know that the efforts and the hard work of the teachers at the early childhood program and going through a whole year of Wilson Foundations, what our end result has come from that 1 year. And I thank you. Any questions? Well, we did an awesome job. You see my shoulders are out.
Eric?
Hi, good evening. I just have a quick comment, and maybe you could tell us a little bit more. To me, the most impressive aspect of starting this program at the preschool level is the repetition of language that they are getting year 1, year 2, year 3. You started to tell us a little bit about the fact that they started to know the vocabulary. Are you in the upper schools already beginning to see, like you're able to, instead of starting on step 1 at the beginning of the year, that you're starting on step 2 or step 3, that they're picking right up where they left off?
Well, I think we're going to know more because as the years go on and our presentations will constantly build on top of each other, which will keep the community as well as the Board of Education in the loop of what's happening inside the buildings and how that continuity spreads itself through. We just completed our first year teaching and flying the plane while building, teaching and learning about Wilson Foundations, and it's awesome, powerful impact. And so as it moves up to the upper grades, the only thing I know right now is that pre-K, Lee F. Jackson, K1, and Highview. And then from there is just for words. So there is a connection and a snap-in solid piece that brings it all together. And this is the whole process of Wilson, and it goes straight on up to the high school.
Thank you. Very excited about your program.
Thank you.
Tracy?
Good evening. So I know you guys do a great job. You've had two of my eldest children, and hopefully my third as soon as he's old enough to go. I think you do a fabulous job with the pre-K kids, and as far as I'm concerned, this is a pre-K through 12 district.
That's right.
And the curriculum should be all the way down to pre-K. So I'm happy that finally has fully happened. My only question is about ELL or ENL, ESL students, and how does this help them? Do you feel like this is working for them as well?
You know, I'm going to turn it over to Monica because she's in the classroom with the children.
I think as they're learning the English language, it does help them. The only suggestion I give the parents who don't know how to make the pronunciations of the sounds to try to either Google it, YouTube, or find somebody who they know that speaks English that can help the child at home to reinforce the skills.
And Ms. Gomez, you're helping with them as well,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
speak sometimes Spanish to them in the classroom.
Thank you.
Terry?
Dawn, last year, I believe, when you made your presentation to us, you spoke about how our district was a model for other districts, or you had some other districts visiting us. Was it regarding?
Yeah, they were supposed to come through, but I guess with so much going on in the school year and so much going on in different districts, we haven't had that visit, but it's still not off the table.
But what was it? Just refresh my memory.
It was with they call it New Generation now,
Right.
the new generation, but it was the Common Core.
Okay, all right. Why were we the target?
Well, when it came down from the state, all the districts took it from K-12. And with us being a pre-K-12 district, my team was like, listen, it's going to come into our lap. And so I said, if you're willing to do it, I will talk to Dr. Chase and Dr. Valenti. And we were given the go-ahead, and we were looking for training. There was nothing out there. And we were one of the districts who took the bull by the horns, so to speak, and we just did it. And that's what the ladies did.
Okay. And per your first answer to my question, so going forward, that's your intent again to provide that training, but it just hasn't happened this year.
Well, now we're seeing it. I'm seeing it with BOCES. We are seeing it. But then I sent one of my teachers to the training, and she came back and she told us during a faculty meeting, she said, we did better ourselves peeling back the information and indulging in it, and then saying with the repetition, what are we going to keep and what are we just going to slide to the side for right now? They didn't do that. When they went for this training, to the training, they came back and said they went verbatim through the whole packet. And my teachers was like, we did that already. So they didn't give us anything we didn't already have. I think us doing what we did, I think was way more enriching to do and teach, because the teachers can make their mistakes. But the way they did it, my teachers could have taught it and probably did a better job. I'm being honest.
All right, Dr. Chase.
Just to underscore what Ms. Mel said, and fantastic job. I'm really proud of you guys at ECP. Judy Johnson, who happens to be the New York State regent, commented very favorably on our ECP program. In fact, she visited our school for the purpose of looking at our ECP program because she kind of sort of heard about it. And she went back to the state, just so that you know, to talk about the fact that we have a unique model where we're one of the few districts that have an actual continuum. We're not just K-12, but it's pre-K-12, and the fact that pre-K is on board with what we're doing with the rest of the school district. And so there was a school in New York City who wanted to visit the ECP program, and I think they will come this year. I don't know, but it didn't happen. And I know other school districts have also indicated that they would like to take a look at our ECP program. So keep doing what you're doing.
I know she was very ecstatic when she came. Regent Johnson was very ecstatic. She went into the classrooms, and she could not believe even the way the classrooms were structured, because children need that consistency. But she saw that the children also had so much choice within that classroom. So, yeah, no, her visit was very much needed and very much appreciated.
Thank you, Don
Thank
Mayo.
you very much for having us.
Next up, our superintendent's report.
Good evening once again, community, those who are here and those who are watching us from home. I want to again congratulate the ECP program for a job well done and just giving us just a vignette of what happens on a daily basis in our ECP program. And we're really honored and proud that we have a continuum here in our school district. Today is School Safety Monitor Day. And so for those school safety monitors who are watching and those of us who work very closely with our school safety monitors, we just want to thank them for all that they do in our schools. And these individuals are typically on the front line of each of our buildings, and so we definitely want to acknowledge them. Yesterday was Boss Day. You don't really hear a lot about the bosses, but I want to congratulate our administrators, our boss ladies and our boss men in the school district for helping us to work toward world-class status, and so we appreciate all that they do. So when you see our school monitors and you see our boss ladies and our boss men, and you know who they are, please just offer them some gratitude. Again, we talked a lot about the Highview third grade configuration, and I was going to speak on that. So I guess I'm going to change pretty much of what I was going to say about that. Gary Mastrangelo will be, for those of you who did not hear this, will be convening a meeting with parents and those who might be coming into Highview next year, for those who are interested in what our new configuration looks like, just so that there's clarity, and again, there's one voice. And so I can't wait to actually put that date out there. And once we find out the date, we'll put it on our social media and make sure that that letter does go home to our parents. And we'll make sure also that there's a phone blast so that parents will have an opportunity to ask questions about the new configuration. For those of you who just tuned in, we have departmentalized third grade only at Highview Elementary School, and here's what that means. We have teachers who will specialize in a particular subject area, and they will teach that subject area to children, as opposed to having one teacher to teach all 4 core subjects. I am very, very pleased to inform the community, if you have not heard already, that the Greenburgh Central School District Woodlands Middle and High School application for IB candidacy was accepted. And so we are now in the beginning phases of implementing the IBDP program. I cannot underscore how proud I am of our school district. And this is an amazing opportunity for our students to have an international experience. Those school districts who currently have the IB program, their kids are recruited from all over the world, and we want our kids to be on the forefront. And so I'm excited about the possibilities of our IB program, DP program. Last week, the leadership team of the IB and myself, we had a chance to go to BOCES to work with another school district, Clarkstown, who's already well into their IB program, and having the conversations about the implementation and how this is going to look in our respective school districts was great. It was amazing PD. So from that conversation, we have now partnered with Clarkstown, and so the superintendent's actually going to come over here to take a look at our program, and I'm actually going to go over there when he actually meets with his parents about the implementation. So we have a nice partnership with the school district on the other side of the bridge. We continue to work very, very hard in our STEAM initiatives at the school district. We are continuing to move full steam ahead. I would like to share with the community some upcoming STEAM activities in our school district. On the 13th, and some of you may have noticed this on our social media, and I hope you are following me on Twitter and following the school district on Facebook, you will find that our girls visited Manhattan College for a girls' STEAM event, and it was well received by our girls. Our future engineers and our future scientists did a great job at investigating insects and water, and the girls were engaged in many science activities while there. And from what we heard, that it was enjoyable for all. On the 25th of this month, we will have our 2nd annual STEAM Career Fair, and this is an opportunity for students at R.J. Bailey Elementary School to meet those who are already practitioners in the field of STEAM, which is science, technology, engineer, arts, and mathematics, and just learn about their career and possibly ignite some interest. We have several innovation rooms in our school district, sort of like a makerspace, if you will, and we found and carved some space in several of our buildings. We have the grand opening of R.J. Bailey's Innovation Room on the 25th of October. We hope you can come out and check out the Innovation Room. It's an opportunity for our students to explore and really engage in STEAM activities. On the 27th of this month, both Lee F. Jackson and R.J. Bailey will be working with Regeneron, and it's actually Regeneron Day of Volunteering, and there will be multiple STEAM activities at both sites. Woodlands Middle High School will have a grand opening of their Innovation Room on the 27th of October, and we hope that you will be there for the ribbon cutting ceremony, so that should be very exciting. And we are super excited on Halloween Day, 10/31. Highview Elementary School will have a Highview Fall STEAM Day. I don't want to give away all the spooky STEAM activities that the kids will be engaged, but I have a feeling if you come by, you're going to truly be thrilled by some of the things that are happening at the school. Again, giving our kids exposure to theme in a fun way. We have solidified a wonderful partnership as of 4:57 today. And I'm going on my phone because I actually have the flyer that was sent to me by the Greenburgh Police Department. We will be partnering with the town of Greenburgh and the Greenburgh Police Department once again as a school district to help with hurricane efforts of those victims of Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. There will be a full, and I just want to make sure that I have the full text message. I think this is it, yep. There will be a full donation drive, and that drive will last through October. And Officer Zenon is our point person for the Greenburgh Police Department, and Paul Feiner is our point person for Town of Greenburgh, and each of our principals will serve as the point people for our school district. We will be collecting bottled water. We will be collecting batteries, flashlights, hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, emergency food supply kits, obviously things that are non-perishable, first aid kits, toiletries, feminine hygiene products, baby products, bed sheets, linen, canned non-perishable foods. I did speak about diapers already, and solar lighting, to name a few. We will have collection bins and boxes at each school. Again, our students really extending themselves in community service and just really lending support to those who are in need. Although the news does not necessarily highlight the conditions of Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands as much as they did when the disaster first happened, but you should know, and those of us who have families who might live on the various islands know, these people are living in dire straits. It is absolutely an atrocity, the living conditions of some people, and there are more and more people dying as a result of not having the necessary tools for everyday survival. And so I'm really happy that the police department and the town of Greenburgh approached us, and we've solidified a partnership where it's sort of a trifecta, and Officer Zenon will be taking the supplies to Puerto Rico, and there will be a distribution to the U.S. Virgin Islands, and so we're excited for that partnership, and you'll hear more about that. Mary O'Neill had to leave, and so I'm going to just share a few things that she would have shared with you. And I do want to just focus your attention on the fact that the IRS has selected our fabulous school district to be audited, and everyone keeps telling me it's almost like Christmas that we were selected, and we're excited. Listen, we're ready for it. And you know, out of an audit, the only thing that could happen is that we can only get better. We can learn from our mistakes and clarify any issues or any problems that there may be. The audit will be for the 2015 year and include payments to vendors that should be on 1099s, and the audit will actually begin as early as next week. So I do want you to know about that. Other than that, I don't have anything else. I look forward to sharing with you the Highview parent meeting. And I wish you all the best for the rest of October. Please visit our website. Please visit us on Twitter. Please follow me on Twitter and continue to follow us on Facebook and learn more about our Harvest Day and Halloween parades as well that are scheduled for 10/31. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Dr. Chase. Next item on our agenda Committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Terry?
Thank you, David. We have, I have two committee reports. First, the Greenburgh Central School District Governance Committee. Committee members are myself, Antoinette Darden-Cintron, Claudia Glazer, and Dr. Chase. We met on Tuesday, October 10th at 7:30, and I was selected as chairman with Claudia serving as recording secretary. Our discussion items that we will recommend that the board further discuss at the work session included interboard relations with some of our neighboring town of Greenburgh school districts, also establishing elected official liaisons, i.e. each of us being assigned to an elected official to meet with them periodically. Excuse me. And civic association outreach. Again, a board member attending the meetings of the active civic association meetings. One recommendation that we'll be making to you, David, and we'll have further discussion on is that you indeed reach out to the other town of Greenburgh school district presidents to establish the relationship that we'd like to have. The meetings, our meetings for the rest of the year are as follows: November 14th, December 12th, January 9th, February 27th, March 13th, April 24th, May 8th, and June 12th. Now, the meetings on January 9th and February 27th and May 8th will be held. There'll be conference call meetings, and we'll post the information, so if anybody wants to dial in. All other meetings will be held at the mansion, and the meeting terminated at 7:45. That was the second of our meetings. The first meeting, obviously, really was our governance committee meeting. Committee members are myself, Claudia again, and Antoinette and Dr. Chase. A meeting convened at 6:34. I was selected as chairman, and Antoinette was selected as recording secretary. We did two things there, two major things. We had a review per our charge. We reviewed the last board meeting, and we will have some recommendations that we will talk further about at the upcoming work session. And we had some new recommendations as well that we will elaborate on at the work session. I'll just go over those quickly. No committee meetings the same day as a board meeting. We have a format for committee reports, and we're going to recommend establishing a protocol for not recommending motions and seconds. Okay, and again, we'll talk about that further at the work session. Committee dates are the same as for the Government Relations Committee. The Government Relations Committee. So I won't go through those dates again. And some dates will be, some of those meetings will be held on conference calls, and we will provide that dial-in number for anyone in the public who wants to attend. Our next meeting of both committees is November 14th of this year at 6:30. Antoinette, did you have something you wanted to add?
Okay, I just wanted to add, as a reminder, that next week from October 23rd to the 27th, is School Board Recognition Week. It is sponsored by New York State School Boards Association. Thank you.
All right. Are there other reports? Tracy?
Thank you. So I have a Health and Wellness Committee report. The Health and Wellness Committee meeting was held on October 2nd, 2017. Board trustees, Lloyd Newland and myself are the committee. And we also have, that were present at the committee, Mary O'Neill, Monica Hockman, Gary O'Grady, Dave Alberts. The meeting started at 4:05 p.m. and ended at 4:59 p.m. The committee selected myself as the committee chair. We discussed our goals and charge. We're going to explore and make recommendations for initiatives to improve the mental and physical health of staff, faculty, and students. We're also encouraging staff and community to use the fitness center. Maybe we can make some sort of challenges out of it. We were discussing that as a team and how we could encourage a healthy exercise as well throughout the district. We are also going to communicate with the PTA Council to collaborate any health and wellness initiatives and expand on promoting healthy choices throughout the school district. And Mary plans to reach out to the PTA to help facilitate that. We're going to be updating the district's health and wellness policy to make recommendations for proper implementation. Currently, the policy is under attorney review. We're going to be making recommendations to give health and wellness more prominence on the website. Currently, we don't have a webpage dedicated to health and wellness, but we're looking into creating that to, reach out to the community and include items such as Healthy for Life, employee assistance program information, and any initiatives that we're working on. Lastly, we discussed the rest of the initiatives for the year and even into next year. We talked about monthly veggie tasting, which has been done in the past at some of the elementary schools. We talked about fresh smoothies, Wellness Wednesday that Mr. Mensch had arranged last year, if we could possibly do that again. We talked about possible grant opportunities. We discussed Chopped and a possible health and wellness fair to hopefully be for the next school year. And the next meeting for the Health and Wellness Committee is on February 5th at 4 p.m. I also was asked to read the Fiscal Planning Committee report, if that's okay. So Mr. Newland is the chair of the Fiscal Planning Committee, but is not feeling great today. So I'm going to read his report. We did meet yesterday, October 16th, and we discussed the budget calendar and development of the calendar for the 18-19 school year. We were provided a grant status report indicating that we have 18 grants now totaling over $4.8 million. We are still waiting for the State Education Department approval of 4 of these grants. We will also be adding additional grants to this list, such as My Brother's Keeper. We were provided an update on the status of our tax certs in the district. The reserve is adjusted annually based on actual tax certs received, and the district reserves 25% of the potential claims. Currently, we have $7.9 million set up in a reserve to cover the cost of judgments awarded by the courts. 88% of the reserve is for tax certs served on the district in the last 4 years. We also reviewed the 5-year budget projection. Assumptions included salary increases in the range of 2 to 4%, overall benefits of 5%, bonuses and transportation 3%, equipment, supplies, utilities 1%, contractual 2%, state aid increases 2 to 2.5%, instructional material aid remains level, and all other revenues remain level. Current debt service is paid in full during the 2021 school year, and currently we pay about $345,000 annually. We also discussed the potential of including the impact of a bond referendum. However, we chose not to, as decisions have not yet been made. Several questions were raised by board members and also the public that attended. How do we help to reduce tuition costs for the district? How do we look at special education cost comparison among our district and other neighboring districts? And how many students are coming from the new housing development? Specifically, I think a public attendee asked about the development in Elmsford as well as the development on Central Avenue. Our next fiscal planning meeting will be held November 13th at the Mansion Boardroom at 4 p.m. Thank you.
Other committee reports? All right, I have a committee report, and I have one other thing to go over. The report for the September Community Engagement Committee meeting was given at the Board of Education work session on October 3rd, so I can't give it again. But the next meeting of the Community Engagement Committee will be Monday, October 23rd at 7 p.m. at Highview. Topics for discussion will include the strategic plan, the WISE program, test scores, the International Baccalaureate program, extracurricular offerings, communications, and event planning. Again, that's Monday, October 23rd at 7 p.m. at Highview. All are welcome. And my slightly longer report is from the NISBA convention. The New York State School Board Association held its annual conference at Lake Placid this year, October 12th to the 14th. Approximately 2,500 NISBA members attended, including trustees Lloyd Newland, Claudia Glazer, and I. Here are some highlights of the conference. Keynote speaker Dr. Yong Zhao spoke on American education in the age of globalization. He said that traditional Asian education methods result in higher test scores, but lower self-confidence and creativity. That our decentralized American educational system is less efficient at crushing everyone into the good factory worker mold. As a result, some of us remain creative enough to out-invent the competition. If they were born in China, Thomas Edison, George Washington Carver, and Bill Gates would have been educated to death and never invented anything. Going forward, we should emphasize creativity and problem-solving skills so that our students will continue to have value in an age where all the machine-like tasks will be done by machines. The New York State Commissioner Mary Ellen Ely, on the opposite side of the fence, spoke on implementation of the Every Student Succeeds Act, the Next Generation Learning Standards, and test implementation schedules, and fielded questions from the audience. Full implementation of the Next Gen curriculum and the accompanying testing is set for the 2020-2021 school year. Our own PR person, Evelyn McCormick of Mac Digital Communications, won Communicator of the Year from the New York School Public Relations Association. The award honors professional communicators dedicated to strengthening relationships between public schools and students, families, and the communities they serve. Evelyn has 23 years of experience in the business. It's a peer-nominated award, so her peers see and appreciate the late nights, the event coverage, all the newsletters, calendars, website, Facebook and Greenburgh app posts, and all the old-fashioned networking that gets our message out to larger media platforms. We appreciate these things too. At the NISBA annual business meeting on Saturday, 222 delegates elected new members to the board of directors, elected officers, including Bill Miller as the new president, amended the bylaws so that an elected member, and this is an important piece, of the New York State Caucus of Black School Board Members is now a full voting member of the board of directors. We passed it. We passed all the resolutions that were recommended by the Resolutions Committee, and we passed Resolution 31, further extending support for funding to expand career and technical education programs. I attended seminars on media coverage of education, bilingual education, and an LGBTQ law primer. Other board members attended other seminars. Does anyone want to add anything? Claudia, did you want to say anything? Or Lloyd? Okay. Next year's convention will be held from October 25th to the 27th in New York City. All NISBA members are welcome. That's it. And now for the approvals. Yes, Tracy.
I'm sorry, I just got a question on social media about the book that we had earlier and where people can actually purchase it from, directly like from a teacher instead of Barnes & Noble or online. Is there someone in the school district that they can purchase it from?
I don't know. Is that available at Highview? Bring that back up at new business and we may have an answer for you by then.
Thank you.
Instructional personnel items. I want to make one change, and that is to item E11. We are tabling the varsity girls basketball item for possible adoption at a later point, so that will not be included in tonight's agenda. Ivy, make note. And items E3 and A4 will probably pull out for a separate vote.
I'm sorry, which ones are going to be pulled for a separate vote?
Items E3 and E4.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to approve the instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening with the exception of items E3 and E4?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? And now, items E3 and E4. That's tenure for Luke Driscoll and Jennifer Tassler.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Congratulations.
We want to congratulate the two new tenure recipients this evening, Luke Driscoll and Jennifer Tassler. Jennifer Tassler is a teaching assistant who has been so committed to our school district. Jennifer Tassler, for some of you who may not know, is actually a Woodlands graduate. That's what happens when you do right, you come back and you give back to your community. So job well done, well earned. Anyone who seen Jennifer in the past have watched her with a boot on her leg, just hopping around behind children who really need her attention, and you were so committed and so dedicated to those kids, and you are actually the voice of kids who may not be able to speak for themselves. And so it's an honor to have you as one of our teachers, and you keep doing what you're doing. Our kids need you, they love you, and we appreciate you. And you're walking very nicely now. And your hair looks great. Luke Driscoll, I remember, Mr. Smith, you bringing Luke to me mid-year hire. Sometimes with mid-year hires, it's a little difficult to find someone who has the expertise and as well as the certification. But I think we got this one right mid-year. Luke is a dynamic young man who not only works with our kids academically, but also with the athletics. And I think you bringing those two pieces together, you are truly an invaluable member of our school district. One of the things that I can appreciate about Luke is that he's currently teaching freshman seminar. And when he talked about teaching freshman seminar, for those of you who don't know, it's an opportunity for our students to get acclimated to high school life. And I heard through the grapevine that Luke said, nope, this is what I want to do. And you teach several courses of this, but you talked so passionately about what you're teaching these kids in terms of having sympathy and having empathy, so much more than just teaching them how to, dissect documents. Luke, that's what we need, and that's what we need in this world. You infuse humanitarianism in your daily lessons. Again, it's what we need in this world, and so we need individuals like yourself here in our school district. And Mr. Smith, I don't think you could have made a finer choice for a mid-year hire. We're very, very happy to have you, and we're looking forward to all of those great things you talked about the other day in my office. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Moving on to non-instructional personnel items. Do I hear a motion to approve the non-instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Board action items. Do I hear a motion to approve the board action items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Finance items. Do I hear a motion to approve the finance items presented to the board for action this evening?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Business items. Do I hear a motion to approve the business items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Student services items. Do I hear a motion? So moved. To approve the student services items presented for approval this evening?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. New business. Does anyone have any new business they wish to bring before the board? Tracy?
Thank you. And I apologize for my faux pas in procedure, which is why I wanted to be on the governance committee to learn more about procedure. But is there a place within the school district that people can purchase the book, not online or in a store? That's my question.
Dr. Chase, do we know?
Unfortunately, because the Lois Braun Center is an outside organization, we can't sell it for them. However, the book will be available in our school library. Parents can actually go to the Lois Braun Center to purchase it. They should see Tanya Johnson. Okay, and
Thank
she was
you.
here earlier, and I wish whoever wanted to get it would see her. But they can reach out to Tanya Johnson at the Lois Braun Center.
Thank you.
Other new business?
Yes, there's more.
Antoinette?
Okay, I'm going to do it from here. For those who have not heard, Senator Stuart Cousin has identified for the city of White Plains on November 5th, Dr. Tahira Dupree Chase Day. So the board wanted to recognize her and say congratulations.
Oh, great. So that the whole world can see them. It's not Tahira Dupree Chase Day yet, but November. Ms. Jones, we're going to go celebrate Tahira Dupree Chase Day. You're going to celebrate with me. You're going to celebrate it with me. Mwah. Okay, gorgeous?
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Lord.
Congratulations.
But I have to say, it's in White Plains. We have to work on making this in Greenburgh.
Yes.
Other new business? Claudia?
So I'd just like to speak on that acknowledgement. When someone is given the opportunity and the privilege, pleasure, and honor to be given a day, we really don't want to take that lightly. That speaks to someone seeing the innovative and intuitive processes that are going on in this district. We have a superintendent who's put herself out to the community, beyond the walls and boundaries of Greenburgh. And people are starting to see who we are and what we're all about through her extraordinary leadership. To have a day named after her, is really an honor for the whole district. And as a board member, and I'm sure that my fellow board members will agree, we are just so delighted that her recognition continues to show up in different ways, and that we as a community and as a district continue to show a light on the path of global district awesomeness. So I congratulate you, and
Global district awesomeness.
I'll trademark that for you. But we congratulate you on your continued success with our district, your continued insight, your vision, your willingness to be outside the box, your continued advocacy for all of our children and for our community. So congratulations, Dr. Chase.
I'll be brief, Mr. Warren, I promise, but I cannot be successful. There's no superintendent who could ever be successful without having a supportive board and a supportive community. And so I can't do what I do if I don't have the support of the people who are sitting on the dais with me. So I want to thank the school board. Actually, I want to share my day with you because it's really our day. And I was teasing Mr. Williams over here, and I said, I don't have it in Greenburgh. He said, well, it's TDC Day every day in Greenburgh. So, I thank you. I thank you for this acknowledgement, and I thank you for the support. But just know, whenever I am recognized, we are all recognized because I represent the school district. So it's not just mine, it belongs to all of us. And I hope that you can share in this with me. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Chase.
Jones says she's taking me out to dinner on the 5th.
We appreciate your leadership. Is there any other new business? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.